What's up, guys? So today I'm going to film a video about 3 steps to mastering the handstand. But first I got to warm up, so I figured it's a perfect time to watch exactly how I get ready to do my own handstands. First thing that I start with is just some simple hinging with the wide stance. So here I'm going to make sure I keep my back straight, hinge down, feel a nice stretch in my hamstrings, come back up, and usually I do about 10 of these. And so one of the reasons why I start with the legs with the handstand is because the handstand is a full body movement. We need coordination from our fingertips through our body all the way down through the toes. So if we warm up everything, we're going to be much more effective at getting into the right positions and being in control of what we're doing. And obviously, when you're doing handstands, you're using your hands. So we got to warm those up too. So typically what I like to do is just do a little bit of freestyling, moving the hands into different positions freely. And this is going to start to open things up, crack the knuckles, move the tissues around, and get blood flowing so that my hands can be ready to support the full weight of my body when I start to get upside down. So depending on how I'm feeling when I'm warming up, if things feel a little stiff and a little painful, I might come back to the exercise and do it more than once. And so as we go through, as we get warmed up, when we run into those situations, we'll kind of see when I start repeating stuff. That's the idea. That's what I'm kind of paying attention to. How does my body feel the first set? How does it feel the second set? I've done enough handstands where I know intuitively the feeling I'm looking for before I get upside down that first time. And so that's something that as you train more often, as you follow a training program, you'll start to develop that internal sense of what you want to feel like. And if you need to warm up the shoulders more, if you need to warm up the legs more, or maybe even if you need to take a rest day that day and give yourself a full recovery before the next time you hit your session. All right, so then as I move through the body, the legs, the wrist, we get to the shoulders, and I usually start off with the same movement every day, no matter how I feel, and then I go from there. So let's check it out. I'm gonna get on my knees. I'm gonna place my hands flat on the floor in front of me. And then from here, I'm gonna arch my back, push my shoulders down towards the floor. And I'll feel a nice stretch in my upper back and my shoulders. Here, I'm trying to push my armpits down to the floor as I also reach them strongly towards the front. And then I'll bring my back up and back down and just alternate between these two positions. And the idea here is that because I'm in a handstand, I need to use what's called shoulder flexion. And that means bringing my arms up and over my head. And so if I can get into like a really nice full shoulder flexion with my arm all the way over my head, that's super helpful for handstands. If I can only get my hands up to about here, then in order to have my hands over my head, then I have to arch my back and make compensations. So the idea with this stretch is that we start to open up those shoulders into flexion and get prepared to be in a position that allows me to more effectively support in an overhead position. That's actually the next exercise that I'm getting to, is some leans. So hands facing straight ahead, shoulder width apart in the same position I'll use for handstands. And then from here, super simple, I'm gonna lock my elbows, I'm gonna put my cheeks on my shoulders, and then I'm gonna lean forward slightly, and then I'm gonna rock back onto my heels. There's several ways to do this horizontal lean. Some are more specific towards a press to handstand, but since I'm warming up only, we're keeping it simple, and we're just rocking into that support and back out. Support, back out. So as I'm working through my movements, I'm getting the shoulders warm, I'm getting the wrists warm, I'm getting the legs moving, and then I like to get upside down, see how that's feeling, and then cycle back through my warm-up movements, and that way I can identify what I'm feeling how my stability is upside down, and use that as insight into what I want to do to warm up further. So let's get upside down real quick and see how it feels. All right, so I can tell that my shoulders are still a little, sometimes a little dizzy when I come up from the handstands, so I need a second. But I can feel that my shoulders are still a little stiff overhead, and it's pulling me more into this kind of archy shape rather than being able to keep my chest compressed and a nicer stack. So I'm gonna spend a little bit more time warming up my hips, so that takes the pressure coming up from my lower back out of the system, and then also from the shoulders, so that I'm more free in the middle to use my body how I want to, instead of having my flexibility dictate how I have to move. So we'll go here. Hands on an elevated surface. This planner works great for me. I'm going to keep my pelvis and lower back neutral. I'm gonna pull my ribs in, and then from here I'm gonna push down, feel a nice stretch in my shoulders, take a breath, and sink into that stretch. From here, then I'm gonna allow my back to arch and go deeper. Feel some cracks in my back. And now here I'm gonna try to keep my shoulders as open as I can and pull my chest in, which is gonna create a nice stretch through my pecs. And then I repeat. So arch down again. And then pull the chest up. And I can repeat this as many times as I want. I'll just do one more for now. Then we'll come back up. All right, so I started off with the hinging for the legs, and that stretches out the back side of my hamstrings and my hips, call that the posterior chain, but also we can be tight in the front of the hips. If we spend a lot of time sitting, all of this tissue is gonna get really bunched up, and it's gonna be hard to open our hips and get into a nice straight position. So a really good exercise for that is just a super simple long lunge stance. From here, I'm gonna keep my abs tight and my posture tall, and I'm gonna bend my knee down. And as I bend my knee down, I'm gonna feel my quad load up, and I'm gonna feel my hip flexors stretch. And from here, I can just pulse into this position. Using a big deep out breath helps to relax the body and allow the muscles to stretch. And then from here, I can reach up overhead and pull. And this pulling action is gonna pull this stretch all the way up through my entire body and open up more space for me to move. Same thing on the other side. The floor is actually pretty slick right here, and that's kind of useful for me because then I really have to use my muscles to stabilize so that I don't just keep sliding backwards. All right, feeling good? Let's get upside down one more time, and I think we might be ready to do some handstands. Clearly not. All right, so that's the general idea that I use to work through getting different parts of my body warmed up enough to get upside down on my hands. Every day it might look a little different, but I'm always following the same approach of get the legs moving, check out the wrist, open the shoulders, and organize the body. Then get upside down, repeat, repeat, repeat as much as I need to. Sometimes I'll do longer hold stretches, sometimes I'll do pulses, sometimes I'll do foam rolling, whatever I need to do to get my body feeling good. And so if this seems like a lot, or if it seems unclear about exactly how you should warm up, if you download my app, we'll have the link down in the bio. We're gonna have follow along videos. We're gonna have programs there for you that explain the movements in more detail and also set up a structure for how many reps, how long you should hold. And that way you can start to understand your body by doing these movements in the right way. And then eventually, like me, after you've been doing this for like over 10 years, you can start to understand how to do it more intuitively and just get yourself moving with or without equipment.